ambulance. They on this country road, the same road they were on when their family was taking the trip. They were nowhere near Maine. How they end back up on that same road with that same tree?
In the middle of
Because
nowhere. Yep.
the middle of nowhere, the simulation hit a hard reset and sent her right back to the point where she was being able to go into Farmville again because she started facing reality.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the New Watchers on the Wall. And the fact that Tabitha appears to be coming back to the town concerns me greatly. But it is not what you guys probably think. I was in the car driving and I was talking to Brother Carter, who's a guest on the show with us today. Say what's up to the people, Brother Carter.
Greetings, everyone.
Awesome. And we were just kind of having a conversation about our concerns with the fact that Tabitha appears to be back in the town. And we're going to talk about that in detail later on in the episode because we like to go through the time period of the actual episodes when we do our recaps. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We have a new subscribers goal. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers within the next week, and we're moving close toward it. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. So this episode starts off with a phone call, and the voice is calling Jim. This voice is saying, "Hey, Dad, why did you let Mom leave?" And this voice is pretending to be his dead son, right?
Well, actually, just some background information. The voice that you hear on the phone is actually me pretending to be the kid because I've been saying all along, why do you keep leaving your kids? So, they reach out to me and were like, hey, would you like to be the voice of Thomas? And I was like, of course.
Exactly, right? You got to hold these jokers accountable.
Could you imagine if that was...
Look, could you imagine if that was the truth? But this is the thing that kind of trips out to me, Brother Carter, and you tell me what you think about this. Every time that phone rings, and I know we're probably going to delve into this about your theory and stuff like that, and I'm starting to lean more toward it. But do you notice every time that phone rings, nobody is around Jim? The first time it rang, last episode, where were his children? Didn't they leave? Where did they go?
They went to go
check on the animals. They went to go check on the animals. Even though it was getting dark. And then he goes in the house and the phone rings. And then in this episode, his children are mad. He's making breakfast and he has an argument with his children. And then they barge out and then the phone rings again. So once again, nobody else is hearing this phone ring except him. Right? So then it transitions to... go ahead, Brother Carter.
I think it's just a figment of his imagination. I don't think this phone is actually ringing. He's not talking to anyone. And I had made that same connection as well, that every time the phone rings, he's the only one around to even talk about it. And he tells nobody else. He don't tell anybody else he's getting these phone calls. So why are you not telling?
I guarantee you, next episode, they're going to all meet. And then somebody's going to say what we've been saying all the time.
Why didn't y'all talking?
Why are we not talking to each other?
Yes, Brother Carter.
But I agree with you, Carter. Yeah.
You hit the nail right on the head because we've been saying that since like season 1 that nobody seems to freaking communicate on this show. Everybody knows a little bit of something, but they never share it. And I'm glad you pointed that out, Brother Carter, because I think there may be a round table where there's some sharing of information because Victor went and dug up that suitcase. But we about to keep it going and we're going to get to that part. Yes, he's about to build a fort. So then we see Jim. He runs outside looking for his kids because that voice has scared him on the phone. And Boyd is ringing the bell. And once again, like Brother Carter says, he doesn't tell Boyd that phone rang. He transitions to Tabitha and she's talking to Victor's father. And they're just kind of having a conversation in general. And then she hears the bottles on the trees ringing once again. And we've talked about this and we're going to delve into it a little bit more. The coincidences that seem to be happening in Farmville are very interesting and very unique, but we're going to get to that some more. And then it transitions to Victor and he is at the colony house and he's got his road map and you can see Victor. He's walking with his little road map and he has his thing where he's going and he digs up something, but we eventually see later on he has a suitcase in his hand that is dirty. So we assume he was digging up that suitcase that he had buried.
Nobody around is just wondering why Victor is doing this.
Yeah, Victor just gets to roam freely and nobody talks to him. What do you think about Victor, quickly, Brother Carter, and his role in this show? What is your feelings about Victor? We never got that from you.
Victor is one of the OGs because he's been there longer than anyone, and he knows where all the things are hidden, the trees you can go through, and all of that. He's some type of linchpin between the previous group of people that was there and the people who are there now. And so it's just interesting how they keep him on the fringes, which is really trying to distract our attention from really making him a main character. And I think he's more prevalent in this whole series than we think some of the other characters are.
I think so too. And I've been waiting for Victor to share more because he shared a little bit with Jade last season, but then he shared a whole lot with Tabitha. But I'm waiting on him, and maybe we'll get it because we saw him say that he's gonna build that fort and he's gonna
tell a story.
He's gonna tell a story. So maybe the story's gonna jump off. So this is when we see Boyd. He's talking to his son about the plans of how he's going to try and trap this monster. And interestingly, go ahead.
Here comes Donna out of nowhere, conveniently just sauntering in with her wool overcoat, her farmer coat on, talking about what's going on. Yeah. What are y'all talking about?
And if you guys have not watched our video, we did a video on our channel maybe 2 videos ago about the top 5 people we don't trust in Fromville. And you guys need to watch that video. We think you would enjoy that video. But Carter, it goes back to what you were saying, where it appears like Boyd is going to try to trap one of the monsters in the house and put a Townsend outside the door to lock the monster in. What do you think about that, Carter?
I think he is. I think he's really focusing on a solution where everyone else around there is just really being hysterical about these monsters and the conditioning. And Boyd is the only one that really thinks it's strategic. And I think he's going to get one of those monsters. I'm not confident in the monsters telling him any serious information because they're not afraid of anybody in the town. There's no worms that Boyd can hold over their head and say, I'll drop a worm on you or nothing. And so I'm just figuring out what tactic he's going to use to make them confess.
You telling the truth, because the other thing that I constantly think about this plan is, think about this for a minute. These monsters, when they do their thing, they almost have superhuman, supernatural strength. So if you recall back to season 1, where that the first killing in the show, where that little girl gets killed when the monster says, "Hey, I'm your grandma, open the window," and her father was at the bar drunk, and that's what and he didn't make it home that night, and when he woke up the next morning, his family was dead, and it was because he wasn't there and his daughter opened the window. But when they put him in a box as punishment, or when they was actually gonna give him a break, but the dude said, "No, I deserve to go in the box," those monsters busted that box open like crazy, like with superhuman strength. And the question is, let's say you do catch one or you lock it in the house, those things are incredibly strong. Like, how are you going to navigate being able to talk to the thing from a safe distance and stuff like that? I just wonder how that strategy is going to work at all.
If anything, you should lure them into the sheriff's office and
Why?
lock them up.
Oh, because it does it. But the sheriff's office is a post office, though, right?
Oh,
it's not a real.
Yeah,
it's not a real thing. But this is when, and we have something against Donna. Donna walks in conveniently, and she says basically this plan that you guys have is pretty silly, right? And then she asks the same thing you said, Brother Carter. How are you gonna make this thing talk? Listen to a little bit of that conversation that Boyd is having with his son about trying to capture one of these things.
They keep those things from getting into the houses. Maybe it can keep them from getting out of something.
Look, I get it, but we're not talking about catching a stray dog or a coyote, okay? Those things, we don't know anything about them.
Yeah, well, maybe it's time we learn. We can't just sit around playing it safe anymore.
Safe? You spent one night out in the forest and it almost got you killed. And then it almost got everybody killed, but safe.
Jim and Kenny spent the night out in the forest, right? And they came back with food, and now we have enough food to feed everyone again. The point is...
And he's saying exactly what you said, Carter. What's that quote you always say, Brother Carter, where you said no risk, no reward, or something like that?
Yes, sir.
And that's
So I mean,
go ahead.
and so I mean, I like where Boyd is heading, but he has to answer that question: how are you going to get the monsters to participate in your survival? They have no vested interest in your survival. And leading to what you said, Patrick, they have a lot of strength. They have a lot of power. They could tear the whole house down. You're gonna trap them. That's like putting a rabbit cat inside of a paper bag.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And that's why I think they're kind of leading us on. I don't think that that's going to be the plan that they eventually come up with. I don't. I don't think that it was by circumstance that they showed us Christy later in the episode getting trapped, her foot trapped in that trap. So let's keep it moving, and we'll share some of our ideas.
Well, I also don't think too, because now that they're back, Tabitha and 3 EMTs are back in Fromville. I think that plan is moot, and it's like, let's get everybody to these towers.
Yeah, I because that's going to be interesting. We're not even halfway through the season. Just like what you said, if Tabitha does come back and she tells the people, I somewhat escaped from Fromville, everybody and their mama's going to want to go. But that hits a point that we're going to touch on later, and I need y'all to stay around for this, because that conversation, we're concerned. I am thoroughly concerned that Tabitha's back in the town, and we're going to tell you guys why.
Or they're not back in the same town.
Maybe that's a good idea too. So then it transitions to the colony house, and the young lady is in there that had the light bulb busted in her eye. She's in there cooking that steak up, that cow that the monster killed, and they're showing us that Fatima still is having a difficult time eating. What do y'all think about? I thought about it. Hey, couldn't that meat be contaminated? The monster then ripped it open with his dirty fingernails and monster like, why are y'all eating that? I wouldn't want to eat that cow. Am I wrong?
I think you're spot on.
That's some demonic cow beef. Like, I'm not trying to eat that cow. Like that, you don't know what that monster's, nails and tentacles, what kind of bacteria you just don't know. Like, that's crazy to me.
It's seasoning. It's extra seasoning.
She said extra seasoning.
It's blackened steak.
Everybody around there might get the mad cow disease.
I'll tell you. And then this is when we see Kenny and his crew. They've arrived to the cabins to pick more food. And some of them are mad at the fact that they had to draw straws. And they're like, what's funny is one of them was like, I think I was purposely given the short straw, right? And once again, I feel like people are subconsciously alluding that something might be going on with Donna, because she's the one that made them pick those straws. But this is one of the things that stood out to me that I wanted to point out to you guys, and I want you to tell me, what are your thoughts on this element of it? This season, they are showing a lot of the supporting cast, a lot of them. Like, we saw now in this episode, we saw the guy who accidentally stabbed Elgin. He has a big role in this episode. He's there for a lot. They're showing that African American lady. I don't even know her name.
She doesn't have one.
I don't even know her name. They showed her a lot, and she's helping with the stuff. We see the lady with the glass in the eye. We've seen her multiple times this season. And it seems like they're intentionally showing us these people that they never do, that they might be setting us up for something. What do y'all think about that?
I think it's just one more thing to add on top of the questions we already have that they're just introducing. And it's like, I'm at a point where I'm just watching the show, just trying to see what's going on. Because it's like, I'm coming up with all these theories and what I think, but it's like nothing is getting explained and nothing is getting resolved. It's just like more things added on top of, so it's kind of like, I really don't have any.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. I really don't have any like
super thoughts about it.
Right.
Okay. What were you gonna say, Brother Carter?
I think they might be setting it up where you're gonna have opposing camps against each other. I think that these characters are coming to the forefront because it's going to be a division among the crew, and I think Donna is going to be one of the people that lead this opposition crew. I still think she's an inside person. My theory that this is some governmental experiment And every time they try to come to a solution, she try to discourage them. It's because she wants the people to feel like they are trapped inside this environment. And I think that we're seeing these characters because it's going to be a opposition group to board seat.
I like that because I was thinking something like that, or they're showing us these characters because there's going to be some folks getting killed, and maybe some of these people, that may happen to them. But I do like what you said that there may be a division that starts to come along, right? I really like that. So then the next thing that we do, we see Jim. He's cooking breakfast with his family, and then Ethan asks, are we going to bury our mom? He starts to ask a lot of questions about burying his mom and things like that. But he starts to ask a lot of these questions about his mom, and Jim doesn't like this, because he hasn't come to the conclusion that his wife is dead and gone. So he is like, you know what? Be quiet, and he snaps. And this is when we see both of his children storm off, right? They both storm off. And I want to get y'all thoughts on this quickly. Ethan is starting to become incredibly like disassociated. Like he's becoming aloof in like how Victor is. Like he just always has like these every time you ask him a question, it's a one-word response. And then it's always negative. And it just seems like he's getting disconnected. And then Jim, his kids in general, his daughter Julie, the disrespect that she is just showing, and he's just kind of accepting. I don't understand that. Am I wrong for saying his kids seem to be hella out of line?
So, well, I think what we're doing is seeing what would be a real life scenario. These children are under an inordinate amount of stress. They went through a lot of pressure. They trapped in this town and seen death and all of this thing. Their mother is missing. They're reaching a psychological tipping point, and that would pretty much play out with children their age. Is that they're just reaching a point where they just about to break down.
Yeah.
And Julie, she's well within her right to be angry at her father. Just from last episode, we found out that she was basically raising Ethan while her parents were going through, their grieving process. And, I think a lot of, as far as Ethan is concerned, I think a lot of kids, they don't realize that their parents are humans too. And we still feel like regular emotions. Like he doesn't want to hear about burying his wife. He don't want to. I mean, that's he's not ready to face that situation yet, or whether he will have to go and find her body, bury her body. She's somewhere dead. You know what I'm saying? So to me, he was being very insensitive.
Yeah, and it's their family dynamics are starting to be incredibly, interesting. That's when that phone rings and that voice is talking, and he hangs up this time. He doesn't even really answer the phone. Victor's dad, this is when it transitions to Victor's dad, and he shares that his wife created the tree in the backyard. And Tabitha's like, well, this doesn't look like the faraway trees, the trees you can go in. And then he says, hey, there's another tree that's not too far from here, 30 to 40 minutes away. And Tabitha's like, you got to take me there. And then that's when they leave to go and do that. It transitions to Boyd. He's in the church, and he's multitasking because he's building something and then also talking to Father Khatri, and he's telling him how silly this plan is to try to catch one of these things. Let's listen to that scene real quick.
Plan, right? Lure one of those things into a house, slap a talisman on the outside of the door, trap it inside. Next day, go inside, wander around the house, searching for it room by room until it jumps out from somewhere and rips you to pieces. Yeah, no, I can see how the military trusted you to plan things. You don't see it, do you? Boyd, you can't even see what's staring you right in the face.
Which is?
Those things said they wanted to break you. And that means they wanted to change you. So far, so good, because the Boyd I knew would never do something this colossally stupid.
The Boyd you knew got you killed.
Once again, it goes back to our thoughts of, is this a good idea with what he's doing? But then it makes me wonder once again, everybody's having all these damn hallucinations and stuff. He's talking to Father Khatri. Jay keeps seeing stuff. Jim is getting talked to on the phone. Um,
Tabitha was seeing the children.
and it's like we still have no answers. And we're gonna talk about this some more at the end of this video. But we still have no answers. What's going on? And Brother Carter has some interesting thoughts, and y'all gonna want to hear what he got to say at the end of this video. I mean, y'all gonna love what he has to say. This is when it transitions to Sarah. She looks like she's moved back into the house with Mrs. Chin, well, Mrs. Chin's home, and she's putting her decorative piece together um at the house. And this is when Victor comes by, and he has that suitcase in his hands, and they have like Victor and her both, and Ethan seems like he's starting to kind of be like them, where it's like they have this super awkwardness about him. Like Victor's at the door, and then she's like, well, what do you want? She's like, well, do you want to come in? He's like, oh yeah, I do want to come in. And they always have like these like kind of weird like kind of interactions, so to speak. um and I want to play a little bit of that part where Victor says he that we're making fun of earlier.
My brother made it for me. I don't think I'll ever be able to put it back together, but I'd like to try.
Do you have a bedspread?
Yeah, I have a few upstairs. Why?
We need to build a fort. And I'm gonna tell a story.
Interesting. What story do y'all think he's going to tell? And our audience, leave a comment below. What story do you think Victor's going to tell? What do y'all think?
I think
he's going to get. I'm sorry. Go ahead, kid.
I think it's going to be something to do with the two children.
What two children?
The two children that his mom kept seeing.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think he's gonna give us anything about this is how I got here and this is how I survived and this. I don't think we're gonna get that from Victor.
Yeah,
I don't think
nothing he ever says is coherent.
Yeah.
It's always gonna be like
Yeah.
some.
I think it's gonna be the story of his mother and why she left to go find these children, or something to do with that.
Exactly. What are you thinking, Brother Carter?
I'm going down the line of what Candace is saying. I think they're foreshadowing right now because we know that there's the father and him are about to have a point of convergence, and they're taking Victor to lead us to how the father and his family is tied into this place somehow, and Victor's getting ready to share how his family is really involved in this. And so that's part of the story because the father is coming. He has the story. They're creating the point of convergence between Victor and his father.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, how that continues to move forward and what Victor's going to start bringing to the table. It transitions to Fatima. She's in her room, and Tilly knocks on the door. And Tilly is so creepy and weird to me, but let's hear what she's talking about.
It's Tilly. Can I come in?
Sound like a monster.
I'm really not feeling great right now.
I used to lick eggshells. When I was pregnant with my first, I used to lick the inside of eggshells. Yeah, I couldn't stand the sight or the smell of my favorite foods, but crack an egg and leave the shell on the tender.
I would even sneak them from the garbage when my husband wasn't looking.
And so we've always suspected Tilly to be a person that you can't trust. And she comes in and, she tries to build this rapport in this relationship. And Tilly offers to help her find out if her baby is safe. But in particular, the thing that stood out to me, Brother Carter, and I think that we gotta do that video that we was talking about earlier midweek. And I don't want to give it away too much. We was talking about it earlier while I was driving home. But she also says, Tilly says something interesting. She says, she talks about her husband who has passed away, was in a facility. What are those facilities called that like when you're about to pass away?
Hospice.
There, he was in hospice, and it was somebody there that kind of taught her how to read these tarot cards and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And being in hospice, being in like insane asylums, being in mental institutions, it kind of gives me some ideas about things. And we're probably going to talk about that in the midweek video. But I want you guys to remember that, because when we break this down in our next video, I think you guys are going to like what we have to say. What do you think about Tilly real quick, Brother Carter?
Well, I think she those characters that in the shadows. I don't think they have done a strong character development of her and tie her in. I'm really just kind of standing back and seeing, when she first saw, her eating Fatima eating the rotten food while she was putting up the clothes, and then show up afterwards. I don't know if she's trying to be a controlling person or she has some type of devious agenda. I'm really just waiting, seeing how they develop her character more.
No, you're right, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I forgot to mention that she did go outside earlier in the episode and eat that nasty fruit. And to me, that scene kind of irked me, because if you're trying to hide and do that, why would you eat the food in the open? Like, she could have grabbed a couple pieces of food, tucked it under her shirt, ran behind the barn and ate it. Like, I just thought that was so silly on her part to stand out there and eat that in the open, but I digress. So this is when we see Tabitha and Victor's dead. They head off in the car to the bottle trees. And it was like, why did he say it's unlocked? I don't know why he said that to her about the car being unlocked, but something about it. And then there's this song that plays, and it happens to be Victor's dad and his wife's favorite song, and then Tabitha says, hey, that's Jim and I's song. So then this is when the cogs start to turn in her head, and you can see she's like, uh-oh, what's going on here? This another coincidence. This shouldn't be a coincidence, right? And it transitions back to the crew. They're harvesting the vegetables, and that one guy that stabbed, I don't even know his name, the one that stabbed Ellis, he's getting on Jade about not helping, and eventually Jade walks over to kind of help. Then he leaves and he goes to urinate, and that's when he sees that man who's stuck to the tree with something lodged in his eye. Once again, interesting, like another hallucination. I'm hoping that they're going to tell us what that is about.
They're not.
Then we see Chrissy. She's trying to support Kenny as he's digging stuff, and Kenny's whole demeanor, attitude has changed. He's still recovering, and he's super frustrated. I also think he's tired of being friend zoned. It's kind of like,
did he ask her, where's your boo?
Nah, he asked her, where's your bag? He had, like, your bag is to pick the fruit.
I thought he said your bae.
Your bag, I thought he said bag.
I thought he said bae. Where's your bae? Like, trying to be funny, like.
Nah, it ain't what he said.
That's what I thought he was saying.
Nah, he was asking her where her bag was, because she was trying to talk to him and comfort him, and he really wants none of it, because he lost his mom, he lost his dad, he was starting to have a budding relationship with Chrissy. Then her girlfriend comes in town, and it's like, stop trying to be all loving on me when you got me in the friend zone.
She's not trying to love on him. She's just trying. She's concerned. They were friends, and she's just she cares about him. Okay. You can care about somebody and not want to have sex with them. I mean, like, or be in a relationship with them. That doesn't mean,
man, my man Kenny is sexually frustrated. If I was in
that ain't her problem. That's not her problem. He's got 2 working hands. That is not her problem.
No, we ain't gonna do my man Kenny like that.
No, but I'm just saying that's not on her. She's trying to be kind because they're friends, and when you're friends with somebody, you care about them. And that's why she's asking those questions.
Twist it up there. And then this is interesting here. Jay comes running by saying that he's going to leave. And they're all like, bro, you can't leave right now. Nightfall's about to hit. You're going to get got. And Chrissy chases him. And this is when we see Chrissy's foot get stuck in that trap. And they're trying to get her foot out of the trap. And, some interesting stuff goes on there. Then it transition to Boyd. He's at the diner. And then this was something that tripped me out. Ethan has been there by himself cleaning. Why is this kid walking around this town?
With this lady he does not know.
Walking around in town, and he's been in there cleaning. And the bus driver lady, that's another character that they showed us that we haven't got a lot of. They show her, and then, Boyd and her have a conversation. She's talking about she's trying to, of course, adjust to everything that's going on. And it transitions to Ethan, and he tells Boyd that you should give up the idea of leaving. He is starting to sound more and more like Victor. That's the kind of stuff Victor be saying. Like Victor is always like, this place will get you. Stop trying to leave. Stop trying to have hope. It will kill you. That's like how Victor talks. And Ethan has completely taken on his whole disposition and everything, which is kind of crazy. It goes back to them trying to free Christy. The first stick breaks. Jade and Kenny look for better rods and sticks. And then it transitions to Fatima and Tilly. They're looking at the tarot cards. We see Elgin is finally asleep. Fatima cannot believe Tilly was talking about tarot cards. She's like, bro, why on earth did we have this deep conversation? I broke down to you. I'm crying to you. And I thought you was gonna have some reasonable stuff to tell me if my child is safe, and then you bust out some damn tarot cards. So she was not having that, right? And I want you guys to hear this part, because this is where she talks about the hospice.
She was in the same hospice care as my husband. She did a reading for me after he passed. Shuffle, please. I thought that it was a bit silly at the time, but now I realize that those cards told me about my cancer, told me about this place. Maybe not in so many words, but the signs were all there if I'd known how to read them. Please. Thank you.
Do you now know how to read them?
Yeah, a lot better than I was before.
That whole situation, Tilly looks so weird to me, and then that's when that crow bangs into the window and then eventually bangs into Colony House.
I think that she said something interesting, like the cards told me about this place, and I've learned to. I wonder, did everybody get like some type of sign about that place?
I don't know.
And have these people, have they all been to this place before? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. That's kind of what I thought when she said that.
No, I mean, that's what are your thoughts on that, Brother Carter?
Well, I couldn't hardly hear Candace a little bit, but what I just really think that this whole crow thing, you mentioned about the crow, and let's go back to Fatima's situation where we look at her as carrying the demon child, and then they allow her to be inside the house, so they kind of say, okay, is the demon child really keeping her out? And they take us away from her possibly carrying this demon child. But then they get to reading these cards, and just before they flip over the card that's supposed to give her some type of answer, this crow flies through the window. Now, we know based on other horror movies, whenever a crow show up, that means evil is somewhere near. Yep. And that goes right back to the theory that she's carrying some type of demon child again. So that's what that scene just brought me right back to her carrying the demon child. At first, I had given her a little bit of break because she got back in the house. But now, when the crow came through the window, I said, yes, that's a little demon child she carrying again.
She gonna eat the crow.
Look, I know, right? And it's very possible. And this is when it transitions back to Jade and the guy that stabbed Ellis, and they pull those sticks from those scarecrow looking things. And they intentionally showed how the scarecrows fell over now when they took those pieces away. And I felt like that was some symbolism. What do you think about that, Brother Carter?
I think that those scarecrows are just like the talisman. They give a barrier for evil spirits to stay out. It gave them an outside perimeter, like a force field, if you will, because it wasn't protecting the food. The food was down there by the doggone river. It's protecting the little hut that we saw. And I think that something have slipped through when those scarecrows fell. All of a sudden, this man shows up on a tree with a spike through his eye? Did they open up another portal when they when they let the scarecrow fall? Just like if a talisman hits the floor.
Exactly.
So I just think that we're gonna start seeing more entities show up now.
I think so too, because to me they went into took great effort to show that thing was falling over, and this is when they began freeing Christy. And as they're working on that, we see Jade. He has another vision, and is that weird guy. They had the thing stuck in his eye, and he's drinking out of a skull. He lifts the skull up, and it appears to be blood pouring out that he was drinking. This is when we see Randall. He's on the bus, and he sees those cicadas. He sees those cicadas again through the thing, and all of a sudden, he starts to like swing around, and it's like they're attacking him again, and this is when we see Boyd walk in. He's like, yo, what's going on? And he sees Randall tripping, but then he's just like, yo, I want to switch spots with you because I want to sleep in the bus tonight so that I can try to observe the monsters. And to me, they're setting up something. I said this a while ago, that I felt that Randall was going to be a part of the process in trying to either kill or capture a monster because he has the temperament and the personality. And what do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I think that Randall is about to take now that they're about to go on the offense, I think that, or the defense, I don't know, one of the fences. I think that he's gonna take a bigger role in trying to help Boyd try to figure out how to get out of there.
Yes, I think so too. And then it transitions to Tabitha and Victor's father. And she's saying that I don't really feel well. And he says, hey, there's some crackers in there in the glove compartment. And when she opens the glove compartment, she observes something that is very, very interesting. And then this is starting to trigger something. And let's listen to that.
I wake up in the hospital that just happens to be here. You just happen to be here. No, but this was your mistake. This was too far.
I don't understand. What does that have
I
to do
made
with the
this
ring?
for my husband a long time ago, and he lost it. And then I found this in the diner.
Okay.
We're not really condemned, are we?
What?
It's just more of this place. Torturing me, punishing me, right?
What are you talking about?
You need to pull over right now.
What?
You need to pull over right now,
Okay.
please.
All right, I'm pulling over.
And she pulls over, and this is when we can see Tabitha is starting to believe that she is really not out of whatever is going on. There is too many coincidences. She's starting to realize it. It's something we've all been observing and saying for a while. And this is when she says this can't be real. She doesn't believe too many coincidences. She says she makes him pull over, and she's like, pull this car over. He pulls the car over, and she tries to pull off.
No,
Please.
no.
You can't
no.
do this. You can't just show up at my door, say the things you said, tell him my son is alive, my boy, that he's out there, and then just decide that you're gonna give up on that? No. We're going.
And then that's when they get hit by that car. And she wakes up, and they are now in an ambulance. And the people on the ambulance know who she is because they know that she was one of the people that escaped because
of the lunchbox.
She's got that damn lunchbox. And while they're driving them there, they run into that damn tree. That doggone tree.
And remember the crows, the first season, the crows, they see the crows first. Mm-hmm. Or did they? Yeah, they saw the crows once they hit the tree. And I think the crows, I don't know, something is probably about to get reset. I don't know, but
yeah.
When she was in the car, I kind of didn't understand, and I kind of still am confused about what she thinks is happening.
I would have liked to have known that too, but
I'm still confused on that.
yeah, yeah. I like that a lot. I think it's just the realization that this shit can't be real. Because even when she was digging that hole and the wires went to nowhere, she was like, "Wait a minute, this just is not logical." At a certain point, this is illogical, right? And what were your thoughts on that, Carter?
That's my theory, and I think that I'm going to come out and be on top of this theory. They are in a simulation. She hit another reset. She's realizing that these ducks are not lining up, that I am not really in a real world. I am in just another phase of this simulation. And when she gets to that point, she's having a point of conversion where her faith and hope is falling down. And it's just amazing that when she's in the ambulance, they on this country road, the same road they were on when their family was taking the trip. They were nowhere near Maine. How they end back up on that same road with that same tree?
In the middle of nowhere. Yep.
In the middle of nowhere. The simulation hit a hard reset and sent her right back to the point where she was being able to go into Fromville again because she started facing reality.
Great point. And now this leads me to the conversation that I've been holding on to dear life for since the beginning of this particular podcast about the show. And I said that the fact that Tabitha ran into that tree and looks like she's about to go back into From Town concerns the hell out of me. And we all talked about why it concerned us. And Carter, you jump in there whenever you want. But, because we were both bouncing this off of each other and agreed, Candace, the same here. One of the things that I had thoroughly enjoyed about season 3 is that Tabitha did escape. If you watch some of our previous videos, we loved season 1. I loved it to death. And the interesting thing about season 1 is that the people had the talisman so they were safe. In the show in season 2 had to introduce new chaos to make these folks no longer safe. I.e., now you can get killed in your dreams. Now you got the ballerina with the worms coming out of her mouth. The cicadas are coming out of everywhere. 3 of the people in Fromville had these crazy comas going on and nobody knew what was going on with them. So they had to introduce this chaos to try to make the show have some oomph again, because in season 1 it's not scary. You have the talisman. And now when they brought Tabitha out of Fromville, I thoroughly enjoyed this because now I felt like we had 2 different places to be taking this show. They could go in Fromville, shit could be happening in Fromville. Then it could go back to Tabitha, she's in the real world. And in my mind, I thought Tabitha was going to be working with Victor's dad. I thought they were going to be trying to find Victor's sister. I thought that maybe this thing could have been some kind of government experiment and the government is after them while they're still trying to figure out how to get back. So they could have went back and forth between the 2 worlds. And my concern is that if you take her right back and throw her back in Fromville, that we're almost going to have a show that was like season 2. In which Brother Carter said it, I said it, they were just throwing wet rice on the wall. There was no real answers, no real nothing. Stuff was just happening. What are your thoughts on that, Brother Carter?
I agree with you most definitely. They're not connecting any dots for us. I think they're just really trying to stimulate the viewers' feelings by putting these buzz moments on it. At some point, they're going to frustrate the viewers to the point where the viewership is going to drop, because when Tabitha left that reality of Fromville and went on the outside, it gave us hope that we were going to have these 2 parallel storylines. Now they're pulling her back in and they just doing all this sensational stuff. It's nothing connecting. They're going to have to start connecting some dots at some point.
And you said it right, because even Candace, you used to say this a lot, and people used to come. Well, they wouldn't come on our channel per se, but you would see in the From groups, especially over season 2, where people would say, bro, stop complaining about the show. If you don't know how to enjoy a slow burn, that's your problem. And I think that there is a difference between a slow burn and stuff happening and not having no type of connection. Stuff just happening randomly, haphazardly. Now in episode 3, we got the cicadas again. What is up with these cicadas? Why do we even have them in season 2? That hasn't been explained. When you talk about, just a lot of different things that happen in season 2, the bio from the monster, the worms in Boyd's skin, the guy that gave Boyd the worms, the rope that got down to Boyd. A lot of stuff wasn't explained. And I'm afraid that them putting Tabitha back into Fromville, because I felt like when they took her out, I was like, shit, we about to get answers. They about to go on this quest on how to get back. We're going to discover stuff. And now it's like she ain't even been gone one episode and you didn't throw her back in the Matrix. Well, I'm saying the Matrix, but Fromville. You know what I'm saying? And this is and I like this show so much, and that's why I said I'm scared and I'm worried about this, because I like this show. I didn't like season 2 that much. Season 2 was average to me, and I dislike season 2 so much. It to me, it's almost like how I watch Game of Thrones all the time, but after I get past season 7, I just restart it. I don't even watch season 8. I don't do it. And that's how I feel about many parts of season 2. I don't even like to watch it again. I like season 1, and I'm loving the way season 3 is going. But I am scared about the fact that Tabitha is about to come back, because I feel like it's a missed opportunity to let her still be in the real, even if she wasn't in the real world, even if she was in a different if this is a simulation, I would have loved to have seen that played out more than what we were given.
Right.
I would have loved to see that. And then, she's about to, the ambulance is about to go back, and then they're about to be in the town. I'm just curious to know where we're going, because a lot of people, the theories that when it comes down to this show, nobody knows where the show is going. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it aliens? Is it a simulation? Are these all like mental patients somewhere? Is this is it purgatory? Is it witchcraft? Is it Salem witchcraft stuff from the past and these people are stuck? We have no idea what's going on. And that's cool to a certain point, but
at some point you got to start answering some questions.
At some point you got to start answering the questions. And to my audience, right? And I want to get your question on this, Brother Carter. How many seasons could this show go and still hold your attention? And if you're watching this, put a comment below, because I'm wondering how many seasons do they intend this show to go? Because we're on season 3. What you think, Brother Carter?
Well, if they don't start connecting the dots, I think their viewership is going to drop off significantly in season 4. We saw this with other shows like Walking Dead. They ran into that. We saw that with Game of Thrones a little bit, when they were kind of losing their viewership because they weren't connecting the dots. And then all of a sudden, somebody had a come to Jesus talk with the writers, and they got back on course again, and viewership went up. I think that as long as people keep saying you are going to have to give us more substance than throwing wet rice on the wall, when people keep saying that, that's when the writers are going to catch up. And the only thing that's going to make them catch up is when these viewerships start dropping.
Because I feel like at a certain point, we're 3 seasons in, I would have liked to have just known a little bit more about maybe what's going on. And but we're going to do a midweek video, because I have an idea. I want to make a comparison. I don't want to get into it right now. I'm hoping that I can get you on there, Brother Carter, if you watch that movie that I told you to watch, because you're an analytical guy. You like to, when you watch that movie, I think that we'll be able to make some interesting parallels about what could potentially be going on with this show. Because I like this show, man. I love this show. I love Harold. I like a lot of I like it when there's a show or a movie that allows people who aren't A-list celebrities, so to speak, to get a chance to shine. Like all of these people in this show, besides maybe Harold and maybe one other person, nobody know who these people were, but we all feel so attached to them now because of the show and things like that. And I want this show to do well. I really do. But I just hope that they didn't bring Tabitha back into Frontville too early. And that's my concern. In the comment section, what do y'all think about that?
At this point, I'm just along for the ride.
What do you guys think about that in the comment section? You know, did Tabitha come back too soon? Where, you know, would you have liked her to stay out more? And if so, why? You know, I want to hear it. You know, I want to know. I want to see, am I by myself? Me and Carter want to know, are we out here on our own or are y'all rocking with us? But any last thoughts from anybody?
I like I said before, I'm just at this point just watching the episodes. Because I mean, there's only so long you can have something that doesn't push the story forward.
I think it's pushing forward, but don't push me forward and don't answer in the past.
I feel like I'm in Frontville at this point.
Yeah, I know, right? Any final thoughts, Brother Carter?
Well, I'm curious on seeing what the interaction between Victor and his father is going to be. I'm excited about that when he gets to town. He's going to give us some more answers in that direction. I'm curious to see exactly what's going to happen when they capture a monster, how they're going to try to force it to give out information. So those two things got me sitting on the edge of my seat and looking forward to seeing what the episode 4 reveals to us.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm looking forward to episode 4 too. And the one thing I am excited about with this season is that we get 10 episodes, I think. Season 2, we only got 8. So I'm happy that we got 10 episodes. So we're not even halfway through. So we get a chance to hopefully get some good things moving forward with the episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're gonna try to hit y'all with a couple of midweek videos, man. Like I'm excited to talk about this one concept. But anyway, our watch has ended. Peace.